And the Water Temple Battle Royale begins in Black Clover. Wow, I wasn't expecting to say Battle Royale and Black Clover in really the same sentence. But yeah, no, I forgot that this was technically counted as a Battle Royale. So don't worry, Astra's not going to be playing PUBG or Fortnite, although that would make a very interesting episode, I would say. Like having a build battle between one another. But no, this episode pretty much arrived, like, there's not so much to go into detail with this episode. Like, definitely, like, even though I was late with this one, again, a lot of this episode dealt with a lot of more character motions. Again, as per usual, as I just normally just like to say and all that, half of this episode was more just in-canon filler as well. A lot of the start of it was, and, like, kind of dragging out scenes. I will say, how this episode ended, and I will mention as well, I feel like the anime kind of spoiled something. Alright, and mind you, it's not a heavy spoiler per chance, it's just like, it already kind of revealed, like, one of the characters already. That's like, oh hey, they're gonna be that. If you, like, pay attention to a voice actor, you're like, they didn't even try to bother, like, hiding the voice or anything. It's just like, or even, like, their little, like, pattern or anything. It's like, oh, that's just the character right there, immediately, and all that. There's no even way of hiding it. But time to talk about the Sea Temple, and especially how they even got there in the first place. A good chunk of this episode was heavily dedicated to Noelle finally getting used to her Sea Dragon Cradle ability and taking everyone, like, to the Water Temple. Like, there's this nice moment of everyone believing on her, and, like, she's feeling confidence. Like, there's one moment I really like that they put in where it was like, you saw Yami kind of being like a mentor for the most part, and he's like, I'm actually proud of you, like, good job, like, you're actually improving. And, like, you see this really nice sweet side of Noelle where she's like actually, like, smiling, and, like, she's really happy, where she's like, I did it. Like, it was a nice moment for Noelle, like, after, like, all the flack and shit that she normally gets a lot of the time for her magic, and how much, like, she, like, hates herself for the most part. It was like, this is a nice moment for Noelle. Like, she finally has, like, a little bit of confidence in herself, and it's like, especially at this part and all that, like I was saying, like, I was mentioning in the 1 or 2 episodes, like, we finally see Noelle come out, like, a little bit more out of her shell. So I'm very much looking forward to the stuff in there, and definitely, like, after also when this anime wraps up and everything, like, whether or not they do touch this stuff later on in the manga or not depends obviously on the sales and everything, and also on merchandise and what have you. Like, a lot of different factors going in if they are going to make another season 2 for the most part, or it depends already on their contract as well. You had some nice moments, like, you had, like, everyone kind of, like, goofing around. Like, you had, like, the whole thing of, like, Asta's like, oh, I can't swim though, but there's a giant magical sea current in the way. Right, alright, Yami has a great thing. It's like, oh, wait, can you not at least give me a moment to, like, prepare myself, Yami? And he's like, here's your time right now. You're going at the same time as me. I'm going to throw you at this time. Do you understand? Let's go. And he just pretty much throws him, and they get into seabed. I'm like, yeah, Yami just definitely enhances a lot of this just anime on there. I think the voice actor does a lot for him, and they arrive, and this is weird where they when they do the Sea Temple and they arrive there. It's like, one, I was like, okay, the background looked fairly decent and all that. I was surprised and all that, because I remember in the manga I was like, wow, this looks really good and all that. I was like, in the anime I'm like, yeah, this is kind of the colours and sort of like what I was imagining on there. I will say the OST, like, one thing I'll give it credit for is that I actually like some of the tracks that they had in this episode. Like, this, again, it's been my biggest gripe with the entire anime. It's been really bad for the most part, or just average. But I was like, these are some nice suitable tracks and all that, and I think they've just been saving them for, like, until, like, the last minute. So I'm like, these are fine. Like, I'm looking forward. I hope with obviously the final fight that they're building up, that they have something specially saved for this. When I looked more into this episode, and it was like, you see when they were at the city, I was like, there's no traps. This is completely different from how they found with their first dungeon when they went with luck, and it was like, we're exploring this area, and there were traps everywhere, there were monsters, there was just a whole bunch of confusion. But with this, it was like, this looks like some ancient civilization, or like people used to live here, so what's going on? And then it's like, no, people do live here. Like, they meet people, like, they meet people who are under here, and they're like, oh my god, we hadn't had someone come in here for like 10 years or so. Like, people are there greeting them, welcoming them, trying to give them stuff, and it's just like this weird moment. Is like, okay, we didn't get told about this. What is going on? So definitely, when I looked at this, I was like, what the fuck? Like, what in the actual like in the manga? I was like, that's a weird thing. Like, what's up with this temple then? Why is it this one has people in it, and like most of the other ones that we've been seeing and all that or heard about is like, what's the exception to this rule and all that? And it seems like this indigenous tribe and all that seemingly came here, and you can already put, if you were paying attention a lot to obviously last week and the week before, you can tell something about these people already and all that, and about like one thing about the tribe itself. But when you like went in there and it's like, okay, let's go to the top and just find out what we can. Let's go and find the elder. We need the magic stone. Let's just do our business. They kind of set it as well, and they set up as like, oh, by the way, and all that. It's just like, be careful and all that. The elder likes to play games and stuff, and then we see the elder, who's a kooky weirdo, who's like a bit of a pervert. Pretty much every old man in Japan, for the most part, just some weirdo old geezer that's a little bit pervy. You know, just like like he's fine, but you can tell that he's trying to be a Roshi, but not a very good one for the most part. Like, and it's like, sure, dude, what's your whole thing? And he pretty much wants to play a game, sees you whether or not you're worthy or not, which leads down the road is like, all right then, 9v9. Let's go. We're going to have a, which his whole magic seems to be game magic, and pretty much he not blackmails, but he more just like offers them all things that are like, oh, if you do this and you play and you get the magic stone, I'll give you alcohol, money, drink, all this bullshit and all that. So everyone kind of wins it and is like, ah, alright then, and all that. Even though that they're there to, you know, do their fucking job, but, you know, that comes apparently second to all of their shit. But when we get to this area and they start this, you notice that he brings out 9 like guardians who point out it's like their magic levels are on an insane level. And you hear 2 of them. You hear one that you've never heard before, and then it's like this is the one bit of the episode I thought they would have tried to modulate the voice or something, or when they're in the mask or something, but they don't even try. You can already tell who that is, and she does. It's like a female's voice, and I'll just say in case people don't know, like, but you can already tell kind of who it is for the most part, and it's like you can see them in the opening. It's just like, you know who it is for the most part, but in case and all that, when we see it in the actual, like, when the episode, when it reveals it, you'd be like, oh, it's that person, and it's like, so you look at it and it's like, alright then, so what's this going to be, this whole deal? And it's like, everyone is separated, they're on their own, and seemingly there are going to be traps around the area when they begin this game. However, the main objective is to whoever, like, has more people at the end, pretty much wins, until, like, last man standing for the most part. All we know at the moment is that, you know, everyone is separated. Gray seemingly is transformed into something else right now. They were kind of mentioning as well, it's like, wait, there's 10 of us though. Why is it like, what happened to one of the members? And the only person that we didn't get to see is that we didn't get to see Yami at the end. So it's like, okay, so Yami has seemingly been dragged out of this or interrupted for some reason, like he's being delayed by something else that we don't know, so that's why it's kind of weirdly being a 99. And Asta is seemingly going against some octopus guy that we see at the end of the episode. You're like, alright then, who, you know, what's going to be up with this guy? And unfortunately the preview spoils what happens to this fight. It was like, I was like, really? Again, that was something I was like, that's a bit stupid that they just spoil what happened to, like, the next episode, which we know that they're going to probably drag out for, like, half the episode. And I'm like, so don't spoil the finale of it, really, like, in the preview. Same thing could be said as well with, like, they spoil a character's appearance. So, yeah, like, there was a few things that niffed me about the episode, and that was mainly just some production things that looked a little bit iffy here and there, but, like, honestly, nothing that was, like, I've seen the worst that, like, Black Clover can look, and it's not this, it just was below average at some points, and it's one of those things where it's like, hey, guess what, the last 2 episodes are probably going to be the best looking ones, like they always do in these shows, where it's like, let's just save up and then just get our main team to kind of like work on the last episode and not outsource it for the most part. But overall, it was a fine setup episode. We know exactly what's going to be doing, what's going to be involved with the last arc. Again, I think the anime did spoil some things, so I'm a little bit peeved with that bit, but overall, I'm kind of curious to see what you guys think in the comment section down below. But that is all from me. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you guys, though, next time.